Good morning, everyone. My name is Chloe Edwards. While we may not be able to introduce everyone this way, I want to open this space by recognizing the diversity within it, our seen and unseen identities, especially as we celebrate the contributions of Black community and Black history. We also welcome visual descriptors so that this virtual rally may be accessible to a variety of attendees. I am Chloe Edwards at Voices for Virginia's Children and lead the Racial Truth and Reconciliation Virginia campaign. I identify as a Black woman who is educated, one of two people in my family proudly with a master's degree. I'm a survivor of childhood trauma and PTSD. I'm an alum of Virginia's child welfare system. I am the niece of a freedom rider, my Aunt Gwendy, and the niece of my Uncle Ronald, who marched with Dr. King and participated in Voices Racial Truth and Reconciliation Week right before his death. We welcome the identities each of you bring with you today and our ancestors through this diversity welcome. And I want to end with an ashe, which means the power to make things happen, or so let it be. Welcome to the Racial Truth and Reconciliation Virginia's very first Just Futures for Young People rally. We have a full morning plan filled with legislative updates, events, activities, but first, I'm going to pass the mic to Kristen Lennox, our Advocacy and Engagement Manager, who will get us jump started.
Thank you, Chloe. Good morning. This is Kristen Lennox. We're so grateful to share this space with each of you today. As Chloe mentioned, I am the Advocacy and Engagement Manager at Voices for Virginia's Children and the chair of the Racial Truth and Reconciliation Coalition. I identify as a Filipino-American cisgender woman, a first-generation daughter of immigrants, the eldest of 5 in a blended family. I have long dark hair, and I am in front of a white background that says 2022 Just Futures for Children and Young People Rally. Professionally, I identify as a helper, convener, connector, mentor, educator, and advocate.
Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Yasmin Gregg, and I am the Development Operations Officer at Child Savers. I identify as a Black woman and I use she, her pronouns. I have dark brown eyes and dark brown microlocks, and I am wearing an African print headband. I am a Richmonder by way of a little town called Brunswick, right off the coast of Georgia. I am a graduate of Howard University, a historically Black college and university located in Washington, D.C., and I hold a master's degree in nonprofit studies from the University of Richmond. A little about my organization, Child Savers. We guide our community's children through life's critical moments through trauma-informed mental health and child development services. We are the only nonprofit in Virginia with a coordinated prevention and intervention model to address children's mental health, preparation for school, and recovery from trauma. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I'm grateful to be in community with you all. My name is Nadia Gouray, and I'm the Director of Equity and External Affairs at YWCA Richmond. I identify as a brown woman, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm the daughter of Indo and Afro-Guyanese immigrants. I'm a sister, wife, and proud aunt. Today, I'm wearing my hair down. It's short and curly, and I'm also wearing a Black sweatshirt. YWCA Richmond is dedicated to eliminating racism, empowering women, and promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. To carry our mission forward, we offer 4 main programs. We provide free, confidential, and comprehensive services for survivors of intimate partner violence and sexual violence in our region. We run a high quality, mixed income, full day and full year childcare and preschool program called the Sprout School. And we also offer educational programs focused on prevention, racial and gender equity, and women's leadership. And I will pass the mic back over to Chloe.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Again, this is Chloe. I am wearing a purple shirt with this fro in front of this white Zoom background titled 2022 Just Features for Young People Rally. Today, as we honor Black history, I reflect on Dr. King's dream in the speech he eloquently delivered at the 1963 March on Washington, a march my own Uncle Ronald attended. He too was excited to envision the dream. It would be fatal for this nation to overlook the urgency of this moment. This sweltering summer of the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until there is an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 1963 was not an end, but a beginning. Those who hope that the Negro needed to blow off steam and will now be content will have a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual. I can't help but reflect upon the year 2020 and the modern civil rights movement. Some refer to it as the world's awakening. However, to me, it was a mere return from hibernation. No, 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 we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream, said Dr. King. I no longer dream. Today, I propose the question, where is justice in the face of dreams that have not come into fruition? Has this nation been sleeping since 1963? Racial Truth and Reconciliation Virginia is a campaign of the people, all people, including children who are most disadvantaged, children who are often overlooked in policy while attending school, and communities that are impacted by historical marginalization. Voices for Virginia's Children champions public policies to improve the lives of Virginia's children. There are 2.6 million children and young adults in Virginia. While the state has experienced the largest increase in racial and ethnic diversity in the past 10 years, too many children in the Commonwealth live in families who struggle to meet their basic needs, such as food, housing, childcare, and healthcare. Virginia has more to do to ensure a just future for Virginia's young people, families, and communities. At the start of the pandemic in 2020, we collectively sat at home during stay-at-home orders and witnessed the exacerbated needs of children amidst the start of COVID-19. Yet in that moment, everyone was our neighbor. Everyone was a Virginian. We saw this shift in sense of community solidarity and responsibility, a push for no Virginian left behind as innovative policies around childcare, pandemic EBT, a language access consultation study, recognizing racism as a public health crisis, funding for Virginia's trauma-informed community networks, and more were successful following session. It has been over 2 years since the pandemic started. It has caused the loss of unemployment income for many of Virginia's families. As we celebrate Black History Month, it is a reminder of the challenges and failures of our state. Too many families struggle to meet their basic needs. Half of all Virginia's children, Black children, and 43% of Hispanic children in Virginia are economically disadvantaged. And I wish today was a celebration. And perhaps there is still an opportunity for such, but we cannot celebrate for where Virginia has failed our children and their livelihoods. In Virginia, every child and every family should be able to gain access to services they need. Language access is a civil right, according to Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. 44,000 children may require language access services, and in Virginia, 231,675 children speak a language other than English. Language access is not exclusive to children that live in immigrant families. It includes children and individuals with disabilities. Our coalition uplifted language access and equity for all children through 2 bills introduced this session, SB 270 and HB 1049. In Virginia, every child should have access to a healthy start, including comprehensive health coverage. But there are stark inequities in access and enrollment in health coverage depending upon a child's immigration status. Roughly 96,500 children in Virginia do not have access to health coverage in the midst of this pandemic. Children who are citizens in the state have an uninsured rate of 4.1%, yet children with undocumented status in the state are estimated to have an uninsured rate of 48%. SB 484 and HB 1012 would have established a program to provide state funding healthcare for those under the age of 19, where but for their immigration status would be eligible. This was carried over to 2023. Voices for Virginia's Children is joining a coalition of legislators to stamp out the injustices damaging the health of children, working families, and communities of color. Our leaders have the power to significantly improve the quality of life of children and families through policies that tackle poverty, food insecurity, lack of healthcare coverage, wait lists for mental health care, and language inaccessibility. Today, we challenge Virginia to not return to normal. Like the raisin in the sun, let justice explode. We cannot walk alone, and as we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back, said Dr. King. Today, we shall live Dr. King's dream on behalf of just futures for young people who represent Virginia's future and this nation's. Now, as we continue to get started, I would like to pass the mic to one of our 2022 youth cohort members and my dear cousin, Aliana Carr.
Hello, I'm Aliana Carr, and I have a half up, half down hairstyle with beads on the end. I'm a junior in high school, and I have firsthand experience on what it is like to have a lack of mental health resources within my school. First, I'd like to start off by saying that mental health is such a critical aspect of your ability to function on a day-to-day basis. I like to say that mental health is just as important as your physical health. If you don't take care of your physical health, you get sick. Just like if you don't take care of your mental health, you start to feel sluggish, you start to feel unmotivated, and as a student, it can hinder your performance in school, sports, extracurriculars, and relationships. And I know that personally, when I was struggling mentally, I was unmotivated. Basic tasks like getting out of bed, doing my homework, and paying attention in class suddenly became a struggle. It's important that we implement these mental health resources in our schools so that way everyone has access to them. Because some children do not have access to these mental health resources. Some children cannot afford to get a therapist, or they have a lack of transportation. And we need more licensed therapists within our school because, again, these children do not have the opportunity to receive clinical therapy. So something that we should implement are more licensed therapists within our schools. And we also need a variety of therapists within our schools who can cater to everyone, because everyone deserves to connect with someone who can understand them and someone who can actually give them the help that they need. So it's important that we implement therapists who are a part of the LGBTQ community, people who are queer, immigrants, and people of color, because we all carry different cultures, identities, and beliefs. And if we have someone that we can connect with, it'll be easier to get the help that they need. So having school counselors are great, but sometimes talking to someone isn't enough. Sometimes you actually need therapists who can clinically support students and families to provide mental health treatment when it is needed. And it's also essential that we educate our teachers on what mental health looks like for certain students, because mental health isn't the same for everyone. It's not a one card fits all. So we need to help teachers recognize on how to kind of point out what mental health looks like, and we need to support students with mental health needs and conditions. And as long as students have the support of our teachers, students can feel like we can actually do well in school. And we also need to support implementing mental health days and breaks in our core curriculums, because personally, I go to a school that emphasizes academics and I take extremely hard classes, and sometimes I feel extremely overwhelmed and drained from the amount of work that I have. And for other students, if they feel overwhelmed, they might take a break, and it might become a vigorous cycle where if they take a break, they're going to get behind on their schoolwork. And if they get behind on their schoolwork, they're going to have to take another break because they're overwhelmed. So if we have protocols that are implemented in our schools, then we can actually have students thrive within our school settings. Because when you start to experience burnout, it takes a toll on your mental health. And lastly, it's also essential that we implement these mental health resources, because receiving mental health should not be a privilege. It should be a standard for all people, because children deserve to thrive within whatever school that they are in.
Thank you, Aliana. I would like to pass the mic to Shayla Daniels with YWCA Empower RVA Teens. Passing the mic to you.
Hi, I'm Shayla Daniels. I have black braids and I'm wearing clear glasses with blue sides. Oftentimes, many students with hidden talents are ignored because they don't fit the look of a leader. I have in the past been one of those students. I was never really looked at for leadership opportunities unless those few teachers around me offered my name up. Time and time again, we see this issue. Whether you come from Richmond City, Powhatan County, or Caroline County, each student should have the opportunity to be provided with the same resources. We regularly see big districts get wonderful learning implements and opportunities, while rural schools get the same decade-old textbooks that have been in our schools since our parents were in school. Within the schools, we have issues regarding the lack of leadership opportunities presented to minority students. These same issues are preventing us from achieving a just future. To me, a just future is one where our differences are highlighted and embraced, not ignored and discouraged. We should be happy and comfortable being our unique selves because we are all one of a kind. We must adapt and work alongside these differences, whether that be economic or language. We shouldn't allow language barriers to be the reason a person is not provided with optimal educational instruction. One person shouldn't be left out because of a lack of resources. We cannot raise majority voices by suppressing minority voices. And finally, a just future for young people includes everyone starting off with the same equitable opportunities and resources. Young people shouldn't be punished for how their parents or guardians made it by, because not every family situation is the same. Not every family has the ability or monetary convenience of saving a large sum of money every month, because many families in our country live paycheck to paycheck. Our lives should not be dependent on a one-size-fits-all approach. By providing young people with the same opportunities as every other child, everyone can start on an even playing field and can blossom and flourish without the concern of money or financing the best suitable education. We must work alongside each other and adapt to personal differences in order to push our futures in the right direction. As I close today, I want you to ask yourself, what can I do today to help enable a just future for young people? Thank you.
Thank you, Shayla. We appreciate that. Welcome, everyone. This is Chloe Edwards. Again, I'm going to model as I know we have some legislators I also wanted to welcome. We are doing an inclusive introduction of ourselves. So I'll model that in saying, my name is Chloe Edwards. I am have a fro. I'm wearing a purple shirt behind this white Zoom background titled 2022 Just Futures for Children and Young People Rally. So encourage others to follow that same introduction. And now we're going to begin to transition into our policy priorities, which we will briefly cover, but will not go into great detail as we have individuals here who will be able to present and speak to them and their impact. Our first policy priority is covering all kids regardless of their immigration status. SB 484 and HB 1012, championed by Senator McClellan and Delegate Tran, would have directed the Department of Medical Assistance Services to establish a program to provide state-funded comprehensive health coverage for individuals in the Commonwealth who are under 19 years of age. All but for would be covered, but for their immigration status would be eligible for health insurance. Both bills have been carried over until 2023 to be considered during the next General Assembly session. Our goal is to continue to raise awareness about the importance of covering all kids, regardless of their immigration status. Our second priority is ensuring children have access to community-based and school-based mental health services, sponsored by Senator McClellan. Current practices do not facilitate alignment between education settings and mental health settings, as some of our youth noted, in order to provide adequate targeted support to students who may endure severe mental health needs, or students who need help recovering from trauma or the disruption of the pandemic. Positive steps have been made to increase school counselors and specialized student supports, but these efforts are more tied to universal services and cannot adequately address the more significant challenges of the pandemic. The Department of Behavioral Health and Development Services can establish an educated integration pilot initiative that will provide funding and assistance to school divisions wishing to access public and private community-based resources to extend their capacity to meet mental health needs. The Senate budget includes $5 million each year to jumpstart these programs and asks the Behavioral Health Commission to further study the connection between schools and mental health services. In the coming weeks, advocates can push for the House to accept these proposals in the final budget. Priority 3 is SB 270 and HB is ensuring, all families and children have access to state agencies and services regardless of their native language or disability. Now, SB 270 and HB 1049 would have established an interagency language access working group in the Office of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. The working group would have been tasked to maximize state policies, resources, and technical assistance and procurement practices to further language access and equity in the Commonwealth and its state government agencies. The bill would have also required each agency to have a language access coordinator who would be responsible for their annual reports and set out requirements. But additional funding to improve language access was included in the proposed budget, as well as detailed language access plans that will help guide further language access improvements. Now, priority 4 is fostering family economic security through a refundable tax credit for families who are low income. Tax credits and rebates provide families necessary economic support, especially those during these uncertain times. The Earned Income Tax Credit, EITC, is one credit targeted to low-income families available on federal and state taxes. Virginia has never had a refundable option for the state credit, so the outgoing budget will make the credit a partial rebate to families. Approximately 72% of all tax filers who benefit from the Earned Income Tax Credit have children, so creating a refundable portion would impact over 3 children in Virginia, 1 in 3 children in Virginia. Voices is a member of the Virginians for Tax Fairness Coalition advocating for this proposal. The refundable Earned Income Tax Credit included in the Senate budget proposal is the tax credit proposal that would target low-income working families and offer additional supports based on family size. The House has rejected the Earned Income Tax Credit proposal, but the Senate has included it in their proposed budget. In the coming weeks, we will work with these legislators and others to ensure that the final budget includes the refundable Earned Income Tax Credit. Now, I would like to introduce our next speakers. We're going to move into our policy priority section. You'll get to engage with some of the elected officials championing this work, as well as advocates. I'd like to introduce Senator George Barker, Delegate Price, and Ali Farouk with Families for Virginia, who will introduce themselves and discuss the policy priorities around the refundable tax credit. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Senator George Barker, and I'm the patron of the bill that we had put forward in the Senate to increase, basically to establish a refundable tax credit that would be up to 20% of the total. I carried a similar bill a few years ago, and that one did not go very far. The Republicans did not include the funding for it in the budget. This year, we did get the funding in the Senate budget that was adopted yesterday, or adopted in committee yesterday, and will now, I guess on Wednesday, be adopted in the full Senate. And then we will have to work with the House, which passed pretty much every tax cut bill except for this one. And so, it's clearly, this is not one that the House was willing to go forward on, and we did have some resistance from some of the Republican senators in the Senate. But we were, we have a majority of Democrats in the Senate, and so we were able to get it included in the Senate budget without any problem. And the Republicans that we have in the Senate, the ones that will be on the conference committee, and I will be on the conference committee again this year. To work out the differences between the House and the Senate budgets. Once we pass something like this, they've always been strong in supporting what we're doing. So I think we will have a good contingent of senators supporting this in the conference committee, and we'll have to do everything we can to get the House members to come along. And I'm sure that Delegate Price is on top of them right now. So.
Yes, thank you, Senator.
Yes.
Thank you. And good morning. I am Delegate Sia Price. I have black braids and they're down, and I have a pink and mauve geometrical dress on. So I want to thank you for allowing me to be present in support of this amazing event, and also to talk to you about the work we are doing with Senator Barker to help children across the Commonwealth specific to tax policy. And Chloe, I appreciate you so much adding the context of Black history to this conversation, because we're all connected to it. And I would remind you all that there has been no major movement of progress where young people and younger generations were not involved. And so I applaud your courage to speak up. And no matter what the outcomes are on all of the items, I just hope that you will be steadfast and determined to continue your work. But when we think about children and we think about what a just future looks like, a lot of issues that you all are covering come to mind. And I'm so grateful that tax policies were included, because they may not be the sexiest item that folks talk about, but they impact children, especially those in low-income families. And though low-income families have been hit hard by the pandemic, as we've been having these different discussions about which tax proposals we're going to go through, as the senator mentioned, low-income families are often left behind and in the other proposals that have moved forward from the House. So the Earned Income Tax Credit is a way to help those who right now pay a bigger chunk of their income in taxes than those who actually make more than them. So our proposal would create an option for qualifying Virginia taxpayers to elect to receive a refundable state tax credit equal to 15% of their federal earned income tax credit. And that basically just means a larger tax refund to more working families. And that way, when you can keep more money in your pocket, you have more money to spend on life's essentials like food, utility bills, childcare, transportation, all of the unfun things that we often have to pay for. And when we think about who this tax credit can help, it has to be noted that 640,000 working families could benefit from this. And we are all across the Commonwealth when we talk about who those 640,000 people are. And so I just want to say that there's 5,200 in Augusta County, 4,900 in Bedford County, 23,000 in Chesterfield County, 50,000 in Fairfax County, 25,000 in Henrico, 21,000 in Newport News, 3,500 in Shenandoah, 3,400 in Tazewell, 33,000 in Virginia Beach, and 3,300 in Wise County. So as you can see, this is all across Virginia, and it could help so many families who need the relief. And so a refundable EITC is an important policy decision we can make to ensure working families who pay a larger share of their income in state and local taxes can receive tax savings. And some will point to the price tag of this proposal as like why we shouldn't do it. But to note, it was fully funded in Governor Northam's introduced budget, as was stated, is included in the Senate budget, but also it costs 5 times less than one of the other proposals that the House leadership passed. And one of the things that we talk about when we're having these budget conversations, much like personal finances, if you're gonna make a large investment, you wanna make sure that there's a return on your investment. And the return on the investment for the EITC is quite clear, because it has kept more children out of poverty than any other tax credit program. And that's why our policy choices are really important and what they're about. Will we have the ethical courage to help those that need us the most? And that is what shall remain to be seen in the final budget that passes the House and the Senate. But I do want to, again, thank you to the youth who are standing up for what they need. And I want you to know that those of us here today have heard you loud and clear, and look forward to continuing our work with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Price. And last but not least, passing the mic to Ali Farouk.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Ali Farouk, and I'm the Policy Director for Families Forward Virginia. I have close cropped dark hair and beard, and I'm wearing a green shirt, and my blue background says "Growing a Better Tomorrow for All Children Together." So we are the Virginia chapter of Prevent Child Abuse America and the state office for several home visiting programs around the Commonwealth, such as Healthy Families and Parents as Teachers. And we support making Virginia's earned income tax credit refundable, because strengthening family economic security is a key prevention strategy for child abuse and neglect. Policies that improve the socioeconomic conditions of families tend to have the largest impacts on health. There's strong empirical evidence consistently linking low income to children's development, academic achievement, and health, including exposure to child abuse and neglect. So policies that strengthen household financial security can reduce child abuse and neglect by improving parents' ability to satisfy children's basic needs, such as food, shelter, medical care, and provide developmentally appropriate childcare and improve parents' mental health. And we know those of us who have young children during the pandemic, it's always been true, but it's been especially true in the pandemic. We all know how the parents are not okay. So policies that strengthen family financial security can go a long way toward reducing childhood adversity and enhancing the relationships that help children thrive. When families face financial hardship, it sets the stage for more stress and less tuned in interaction with children. Boosting family incomes through emergency direct payments, tax credits, paid leave, and other policies help relieve pressure, helping to head off childhood adversity before it happens. And for that reason, we're strong supporters of this and really appreciate our leaders, Delegate Price and Senator Barker, and other advocates on this call. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is Chloe speaking again. We would like to just pause and ask for a photo to make sure we get a good one of everyone to post on our page, if you all don't mind. We're hoping to get one before Senator, oh, is Senator Barker still on?
Hey, sorry, this is Brian from Senator Barker's office. He just got actually pulled into a finance meeting, so he had to jump off.
All right, well, Brian, you're welcome to join us if you'd like to hop in, but we'll just get a quick screenshot before we move on to our next round of speakers. All right. All right, everyone say cheese. Sorry, I got a waiting room at admit. We're gonna try one more screenshot. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you all. Just practicing for when I have kids one day. Well, thanks so much, Delegate Price, and for our advocates. And now we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next round of speakers. But again, thank you all for your work. So this is Chloe Edwards again. Thanks so much for that and all that you all do for Virginia's children. Now I'd like to introduce our next round of speakers, all working on increasing language access and equity in Virginia. Senator Hashmi, we may have the office of Delegate Tran or Delegate Tran with us, Advocate Catherine Zong, Advocate Hunta Williams, and lastly, Michelle Long, with the Vice President of the Virginia Association for the Deaf. So we're all gonna begin to slowly transition over. But first, I'd like to go ahead and pass the mic to Senator Hashmi, and we'll work on getting all of those spotlights on the screen. Thank you.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much, Chloe. I'm Ghazala Hashmi. I represent the 10th Senatorial District, which is parts of City of Richmond and Chesterfield County, as well as all of Powhatan County. And I've been happy to carry the legislation this session, focusing on language access and equity around language access, and happy to carry it in coordination with my good friend, Delegate Kathy Tran, and I know she'll say a few words in a minute too. But this particular bill really comes out of a lot of conversations that the new AAPI caucus, Asian American Pacific Islander caucus, had with a variety of different organizations and community members last spring. And one topic that bubbled to the top repeatedly in all those conversations was the issue of language access. Most particularly during the COVID pandemic, we saw how so many members of various communities had real challenges in being able to access resources and support from our state agencies, particularly around healthcare issues, around small businesses, around concerns for education and housing. And so this bill seeks to have a work group that's embedded all across our state. So an interagency work group to evaluate what those resources and needs are and how we can make sure that all of our communities have access to the materials. And this includes also our disabilities community as well. So it's a very important conversation that our interagency work group would be engaged in developing the necessary access points and materials to give families and particularly our newcomers to Virginia a good footing so that they are able to get the information that they need in order to be successful. This bill on the Senate side has passed out from the Senate, is now going to be heard in the House. It passed on a party line vote, but we are hoping to continue its success in the House. And I will let Delegate Tran share a little bit about what's been happening on the House.
Is it my turn, Chloe? Should I go? Yay! Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Senator Hashmi, and thank you for having me. I'm Kathy Tran. I represent the 42nd District in the Virginia House of Delegates, so parts of Southeast and Southern Fairfax County. And I just want to echo Senator Hashmi's remarks about the importance of language access equity. We know that being able to fully engage with the services that so many Virginians are entitled to or need depends on language access, whether you're limited English proficient or have a disability that affects your communication. And we know that this is an issue that that particular individual faces, but also their family members and their children. I was with a group of young Vietnamese American students. Okay, they were college students, but they were young to me with Vietnamese American college students this weekend. And I asked how many of them had to ever translate for their parents. And it was, overwhelmingly so many hands went up. So we know that this is a generational issue, not just in the terms of trying to get access to our government services, but the challenges and barriers that those families face then also affect parents, potentially grandparents and children, and it's a multi-generational effect. So I'm really proud of the coalition that Senator Hashmi and I worked with. Chloe, representing Voices for Virginia's Children, was a key member. We also had the Legal Aid Society, the Virginia Poverty Law Center, and others. And so it was a really, really broad-based coalition. We're really proud of that. In the House, the bill made it out of committee with strong bipartisan support, but then we did not make it out of appropriations. So I think that there's going to still be kind of that push that we need from you all and advocacy to help make sure that this issue rises in our budget, final budget that we put forward. Governor Northam's introduced budget included about $11 million, if I remember that correctly, for language access initiatives. And that would have supported the work group and state staff that we're asking for in the Senate and House bills. So hopefully we'll be able to push Senator Hashmi's version of the bill out of the House, and just kind of trying to understand the tea leaves a little bit. If that legislative pathway is not open to us this year, at a minimum, being able to get the money for in the budget for the state work that needs to be done. I also want to just highlight two other bills, one that Senator Hashmi and I worked on together that has language access embedded in it as well. And that is around medical debt and making sure that uninsured and underinsured individuals have access to a number of protections and programs as they're dealing with medical debt. And one of those pieces is making sure that all of the charity care information that hospitals provide is language accessible. And then the second bill that bill, Senator Hashmi and Senator Favola's bills got rolled into each other. So Senator Favola and my bill in the House that we worked on with Delegate Hudson as well are still alive and moving right now. And then another bill I have is making sure that Medicaid information about the Medicaid program is available in different languages and also to people with disabilities. And once we update our code to allow that, we'll match some of the federal requirements right now. So we're really excited that bill made it out of the House as well. So those are two other pieces around language access I wanted to highlight. I'll turn it back to you, Chloe.
Thank you. And so there was close to $12 million included in the governor's budget for language access. And SB 270 has now been referred to the House General Laws Committee. Well, we will see how that does. Before I know, likely folks may have to hop off a little early. I want to go ahead and grab our picture to post online if folks don't mind. So just going to do a 1, 2, 3, say cheese. All right. Right before I pass the mic to Katie, and then I know we have some advocates here who will actually highlight another language access bill for deaf and hard of hearing children. Passing the mic to you, Katie.
Thank you, Chloe. Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Zhang. I'm a Chinese American young person living in Virginia, and I'm here with the Homke Center as their policy intern for this GA. For those who don't know, the Homke Center is a community-based organization mobilizing Asian Americans towards social, racial, and economic justice. I want to thank Delegate Tran and Senator Hashmi for all their hard work. None of this stuff could be possible without them. But I'm going to take a step away from the policy and towards the lived experiences that has made language access an issue in the first place. So as for my personal story, part of like deep childhood memories is watching my father, who speaks in quote unquote broken English, navigate conversations with English speakers and just seeing the strain on their faces trying to understand my dad and feeling the anxiety of like carrying this conversation for him. I remember in the car, my dad used to ask me to say the word rare over and over again because he didn't know how to say it. And it would just be back and forth. I would say rare, he would try, and we would both grow frustrated because he couldn't get it. And so this is a really common role reversal we see in Asian American households where the child becomes somewhat of a parent teaching their father how to say something, and the parent becomes somewhat of a child. And often when we don't see language access support, this bilingual child instantly becomes a translator. But no bilingual child is naturally born with those skills of translating. Children shouldn't have to know how to translate what a 1099 is. So it's a huge burden on these families, but it's a huge burden on children when there isn't enough support coming from state agencies. And so in the policy language, we call these people who don't speak English limited English proficient, LEPs. But this type of word connotes the idea that our immigrant parents are missing something. So at Homke Center, we've moved towards a new word, linguistically marginalized communities, LMC, because it shows that this language barrier is not at the fault of our immigrant parents, but it's entirely a disadvantage created by systems of oppression. And so what we are fighting for in this bill is, the question we're asking is, are our immigrant parents, are they American enough to get support? Should we help them? Are they deserving of help? And I think this bill and the people that are fighting for it are saying resoundingly, yes, our parents do belong here and they deserve support. And so I thank Delegate Tran and Senator Hashmi for their work again. And I'm really excited that we've gotten this far. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, everyone. This is Chloe again. Thank you so much, Katie, for sharing your story and for your hard work as well. Next, I would like to pass the mic to Hunta Williams, an advocate with language equality and acquisition for deaf kids.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hunta Williams, and my pronouns are they and them, he and they. I have a degree in language acquisition from Gallaudet University. And this bill has a significant impact on language access because it's a human right. It has an impact on deaf, deafblind, and deaf-disabled individuals and what service they have access to because their first language is American Sign Language. As well for deaf-blind individuals, it is protactile and access to Black ASL as well. Without this type of bill, they're going to be growing up with language deprivation, and this is significant for Black and Brown communities. I am a deaf-blind individual myself. I need to have access to context, background, and that way have a range of access to both the visual and language. It could be tactile ASL, visual ASL, everything. And this state really has failed to provide language access for everyone, and qualified language providers. There's not qualified interpreters out there. There's not quality education programs. We need to request interpreters often, and they provide maybe one interpreter or no interpreter. And now we need to have interpreters here available on Zoom. This is an example of what people need to see to truly understand for us to be able to be engaged. And children need to see this as well. And then specifically speaking towards the BIPOC and Black communities. How can we protect these children to ensure that they have access to both languages, ASL and English? My experience growing up has been pretty lousy in gaining access. I've had to fight to write in English to share information. I've had constantly fight against to gain access. And this is 2022. We should be expecting more. So this is the reason why SB 270 and HB 2049 must happen. We must provide fully accessible services to improve the lives of deaf people, not to continue this type of oppression. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Hanta. Again, everyone, this is Chloe. Thank you so much, Hanta, for sharing your story and your passion behind the advocacy. Next, I would like to pass the mic to Michelle Long with the Vice President for the Virginia Association of the Deaf.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Long, and I have been born and raised in Richmond. I'm a mother, a grandmother, and I have a grandson who also is hard of hearing. My grandson is now 3 years old. I have seen the challenges. I've navigated these challenges, and I just feel like the impact, the generational impact of language deprivation has been difficult. We as a family have seen and tried to pass on these important values throughout our family. We're trying to give them more access so they can grow up and not have the same experience as I have had. The same limiting experience as I've had, limited access to language and information. I personally was not accepted into the deaf community. But before I talk about the difficulty accessing language and accessing interpreters, I wanted to note that, the experience was quite overwhelming, and I had to bear with reading lips, figuring out ways to engage with people, even having to write things down and even turn in papers that may have not been what I wanted to share. But, I made it through. I feel like we need to have exposure for BIPOC children. So, for example, my grandson doesn't have to have the same experiences I have had. BIPOC deaf children need to look up and see role models. They need to look and see interpreters that look like them that are available. Also, I grew up using a combination of ASL and English, Pidgin signed English. And I had to develop different types of vocabulary. It was more simplified. I really had, this had a significant impact in who I was as an individual, in my access to full languages, into normal languages, into visual language. I feel like this limited my ability to express my ideas. I want to be able to empower the deaf community so they have an opportunity to access language. So this bill, I feel, is critical. As you know, we have a lot more diversity in our community. So we're encouraging you to please support this language access bill, SB 270 and HB 1049.
Everyone, this is Chloe again. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your stories. They are quite powerful. Senator Hashmi had to go, but she also shares a message that says, many thanks to Katie, Hanta, and Michelle for sharing your personal stories. Very powerful. She had to hop off for another meeting, but again, is thankful for the engagement on these important issues. And then the Language Access Coalition that we have some advocates here from today are also supporting 2 bills on behalf of deaf and hard of hearing children that will face crossover as well. So we'll keep you all updated on those. Well, while everyone is doing such incredible work, we're going to move into our next section, which is covering all kids regardless of their immigration status through comprehensive health insurance. I'm unsure if Senator McClellan or someone from the office of Senator McClellan is able to join us, but we have Delegate Tran with us again here. Delegate Tran is the superstar, as well as Freddie Mejia with the Commonwealth Institute and the Healthcare for All Virginians Coalition, and we will continue to look out for Senator McClellan. Thank you all again. All right, passing the mic to you, Delegate Tran.
Okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't sure. Hello, everybody. Again, Kathy Tran from the 42nd House District, which is in Southeast Southern Fairfax County, and was really, really excited to be working with Freddie from the Commonwealth Institute, New Virginia Majority, Voices for Virginia's Children, Virginia Poverty Law Center, and so many other advocates. I know the Humke Center was a key partner too on our Cover for All legislation. And so unfortunately in the House, my version of the bill did not make it out of subcommittee. But I believe that the issues and the reason we brought it forward are so important. Everybody deserves healthcare. It is a human right, and so we need to make sure that we are expanding coverage in Virginia. And this year, we've tried really hard to put the focus on undocumented children and children of other immigration statuses that may not allow them to qualify for health insurance. And so we put forward this bill that would have created a Medicaid-like program for kids and to make sure that they have the coverage that they need so that their parents and their families can make sure that they are healthy and ready to go and ready to learn. And we know how devastating it can be for both kids and their families if some of their health situations aren't addressed, whether that is an acute situation or a chronic situation. And so it was really important to have this public conversation about coverage for our kids.
Thank you, Delegate Tran. And I know you've spent a great amount of time with us this morning, so I want to pause for a picture, as I know you may have to go before Freddie starts off. So everyone, we're going to slowly do a 1, 2, 3, and then I'll do a screenshot to capture this moment in history. Right. 1, 2, 3. Thank you all. I'm becoming a screenshot photographer. All right, passing the mic to one of my dear friend and colleagues, Freddie Mejia.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Freddie Mejia, and I'm a senior health policy analyst at the Commonwealth Institute. I'm wearing a gray suit jacket, a white button-down shirt, and turtle shell glasses. First, I want to thank Delegate Tran and Sarah McClellan for leading the efforts on the Cover All Kids legislation, making sure that we cover all children in Virginia, regardless of immigration status. Also want to thank Voices for Virginia's Children, Child Savers, and YWCA Richmond for holding a space so we can all share and learn about all of these really important issues. Improving children's access to health coverage is not only important to me, but it is personal. I grew up in a working class Salvadoran immigrant household, and whether due to lack of awareness or simply due to lack of opportunity, we all went without health insurance. The first time I had medical insurance was at the age of 17 when I enrolled in the student health plan available at Virginia Commonwealth University. As a young child, I have memories of waiting in busy clinics for my school vaccinations and heading to the emergency room for a stomach ache that lasted a few days too long for my mother's liking. Most may have fond memories of a pediatrician that looked after them for years growing up. For me, it was just a sea of different faces whenever I was ill. I remember the worry on my mother's face, but only now I can appreciate that the concern was not only for the child, the sick child that was in front of her, but also how she would pay for the day's visit. What the impact of her missing a day at the Capitol Hill diner that she worked at might be. This is not a unique experience. Every day in Virginia, families wrestle with these decisions. We know immigrant families are significantly impacted too. Nearly half of all children with undocumented status in Virginia are without health insurance. Families with undocumented children have few avenues to sign up for affordable and comprehensive health coverage. Federal law prohibits these families from accessing coverage through Medicaid, through the Children's Health Insurance Program, and the Affordable Care Marketplace. So we know that funding children's health coverage is an investment in a child's and family's future. We are going to see some less missed days of school, right? Some serious medical conditions could be diagnosed and treated earlier, and we could reduce financial stress for the family as a whole. Weighing the cost of a child's healthcare needs and household essentials like rent and food is a decision that no family should have to make. We estimate that nearly 1 in 10 currently uninsured children in Virginia would be newly eligible for health coverage if we fund and implement the Cover All Kids program. So as we heard earlier, while the bill was unfortunately not passed this year, we had success in a lot of other ways. This was the first time that this legislation was introduced in Virginia. And there were bipartisan votes in both chambers, which was exciting. We were also just able to educate legislators on this issue this year. And we also understand that there may be an opportunity to study the program included in the Senate budget. So we'll be looking out for that, and we'll need to make sure to advocate to make sure that it is included in the final budget. So just to wrap up, I know that Delegate Tran and myself are committed to continue the fight for covering all children in Virginia. We know that 13,000 children are counting on us to raise our voices, build on this year's work, and be ready and prepared to pass legislation to cover all kids in Virginia in 2023. So we look forward to that and partnering with folks who are interested in raising their voices about this important issue. So thank you.
Thank you, Freddie, and thank you for sharing a piece of your story as well. We're so thankful for all of the advocacy that folks have been working on, and I think this is a great example of how we can really apply that people power throughout this following year and increase that education awareness year long to incentivize those kinds of opportunities and really assert the need for a program like this, especially during a pandemic where we know access to healthcare is so crucial and important. Now we're going to kick it off.
Chloe,
I'm sorry.
Before I go, can I just have one last comment?
Yes.
I think that's, you know, so some of the bills that I had a chance to talk about this year did not, their legislative paths were curtailed pretty early on. And I just want to say, you know, in the last 5 years that I've been serving, one of the things I've learned about Virginia, sometimes we make these small step changes at a time. And even though we don't have the legislative success we want this year on the issues of, you know, entirely around our big language access bill or on Cover for All kids, it's really important to have that conversation publicly. It's important to build that support across the aisle and with others, even in my own caucus, right? That education, that advocacy that happens. It's important to hear stories like the ones that, you know, Katie and Freddie and Michelle and Junta shared earlier. And so I thank you all for taking the time to advocate and reaching out to your members and lifting up your voices. That is the most powerful thing you could be doing. And we'll continue to work with you all side by side until we get these into law and be able to have language access equity and healthcare equity. So I just wanted to really thank you because the work that you do is so important. Even if we don't have that big legislative win this year, I think that we have to take away kind of the power that we're still building day in and day out together. So thank you so much.
This is Chloe speaking again. Thank you, Delegate Tran. And certainly sometimes in Virginia, it's not a sprint, instead it's a marathon. And so we're going to continue to pace ourselves and raise that awareness this coming year. Thank you so much. And now I'd like to pass the mic to our next round of speakers. We'll have an individual from the office of Senator McClellan joining us. I believe Delegate Price had to leave, as well as an advocate, Bob Nichols, who all are working on increasing access to school-based mental health services. So I'm going to quickly get everyone transitioned over. Oops, actually, I think, okay, bear with me, you all. Okay, I think we actually have Senator McClellan joining us. Welcome.
Hello, Senator McClellan should either be on or she's joining. There she is.
Welcome. All right, welcome. Thank you so much for being able to join us today. We're going to model inclusivity, an inclusive welcome for those who are deaf or hard of hearing or may have limited accessibility needs. So my name is Chloe Edwards. Have a fro in front of this white Zoom background titled 2022 Just Futures for Children and Young People, and I am wearing a purple shirt. So before I pass the mic, I just want to introduce Senator McClellan, who's been a great mental health advocate for increasing access and equity across the Commonwealth, but in particular for Virginia's children around school-based mental health services, and advocate Bob Nichols. Thank you for joining us. And I'm going to pass the mic to you first, Senator McClellan.
Sorry, it would help if I unmuted. Thank you all for having me this morning. It is a pleasure to take a break to talk to you about some of the amazing work we're doing to address children's mental health. And we know that before COVID, our children's mental health needs were not being served. Just a quick statistic. Out of a total of $738 million for mental health services at community service boards and programs administered by the Department of Behavioral Health Services, only $64 million has been dedicated to children and youth, which is less than 10% of the funding we spend statewide on mental health services. COVID and school closures have made the need for mental health services for our kids even more critical. And so this year, working with Voices and a number of other groups, we put in a budget amendment to spend $10 million per year on school-based mental health services for our children, giving our schools the flexibility and funding to contract with private providers, because unfortunately we don't have enough services at the school. I am happy to say that that budget amendment was partially included in the Senate budget released yesterday. We have $5 million per year, which will still be pretty impactful. Another area we've worked on is lifting the cap on state funding of school support personnel, which includes our social workers, behavioral health specialists, counselors. That cap was put in place a decade ago to balance the budget, and the Senate budget yesterday puts funding in to partially lift that cap. So we are working very hard to make sure that we integrate mental health needs, wraparound services, and education, because we cannot just deal with these in silos. Our kids are in our schools all day. They can't learn if their mental health needs aren't being met. And so we need to make sure that, especially now, as they are facing more stress than anybody should bear, much less our young people, we need to make sure their needs are being met. And this year, I think we're going to make significant progress with your help. And I want to just thank you for the advocacy that you have done up to this point, and say, keep it up. We got 3 more weeks to make sure we get these budget amendments and other bills you've probably been talking about across the finish line.
Thank you. And we have a message from our Chief Policy Officer. Thank you, Senator McClellan, for your leadership. And there's also an action alert we posted in the chat where individuals can take action. Before we know you likely have to go very soon. So we'd love to just get a picture with you to post on our page. Sure. And thank you for all of your work. All right, I'm going to 1, 2, and 3. All right, thank you so much. And now we are going to pass the mic to Bob Nichols, who will continue to talk about the importance of this issue.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bob Nichols. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a cisgender queer Caucasian male. I'm wearing a light blue shirt with a collar and have short brown hair. I'm using our Zoom background with Child Savers, YWCA, and Voices logos, which says 2022 Just Futures for Children and Young People Rally. I'll keep this brief as we have so many powerful speakers here today. Thank you, Senator McClellan, for your comments. Through our partnership with public schools, Child Savers is part of a national trend among mental health care providers, moving closer to children and families and reducing barriers to meaningful access to care. One way we do this is via school-based healthcare. Improving access to meaningful, quality care means reversing 3 old ideas. The first is children and clients should do all the work to find providers. This is wrong. Asking anyone who's suffering to do additional work, especially children who are suffering, doesn't make sense. School-based and community-based support means providers come to them. Another old idea, clients have needs and providers have all the skills. This is only half true. Although mental health providers need to have appropriate training and skills, our clients have skills and strengths of their own. And the providers, they have needs as well. Innovations in school-based mental health care delivery allow us to take a team approach to building child resilience, adult resilience, and community resilience with a strength-based perspective. This also allows providers to acknowledge the toll of doing their work and to create systems of care that are more humane for all stakeholders. The last wrong idea is us versus them. Historically, healthcare providers have not reflected the diversity of healthcare consumers. In addition to improving access to care for current students, integrating mental health care delivery into schools establishes new opportunities to develop a diverse and inclusive workforce that can support future students. This means more licensed clinicians who are fluent in Spanish, for example, and other languages, and more BIPOC clinicians. Last comment, siloed service providers experience enormous barriers when it comes to collaboration with other professionals. And if there's one thing we know about children and adolescents, they thrive most when the adults are collaborating well. School-based and community-based services build bridges and networks, not silos, so that all children experience a village of support. Thank you very much. Special thank you to Voices for having us on today.
Thank you, Bob. We can certainly feel the passion in the room that everyone holds around these issues. And now as we transition to the next component of the day, forgot to add, this is Chloe speaking. I would like to pass the mic to our Advocacy and Engagement Manager, Kristen Lennox, as we begin the next half of our rally and recenter ourselves. Passing the mic to you, Kristen.
Thank you so much, Chloe. Again, this is Kristen Lennox. I'm the Advocacy and Engagement Manager for Voices for Virginia's Children. I am a Filipina American. I have long dark hair, also in front of the background, 2022 Just Futures for Children and Young People Rally. Thank you so much, Chloe, and everyone, all of the incredible speakers. We know that was a lot of information, and championing justice can also come with a very heavy load. So now we are going to move into some mindfulness and decompression as we get reacclimated, healed, and whole. We are so pleased to introduce an ambassador with Project Yoga Richmond, May Suri.
Hi, thank you, Kristen. My name is May Suri. I'm wearing a blue shirt. I'm an Indian American and I have long dark hair. I'm a high schooler at Maggie Walker and I did my 200-hour yoga teacher training at age 15. And I've been an ambassador with Project Yoga. I started during COVID and I've been teaching ever since. Our mission at PYR is to provide affordable and free yoga classes to those who might not necessarily have access to yoga. Some of our programs include an RPS program for kids yoga and also yoga for inmates. So when you pay for a class at PYR, you're also paying for a class for someone who might not otherwise have access to yoga. Today, I'm going to be leading you through a mindfulness meditation with a little bit of light stretching. So you just need a comfortable seat. I'm sitting on the floor. You can sit on your chair and we'll go ahead and get started. So come into a space where you feel comfortable, maybe make a little bit of adjustments. Sit up tall. Maybe you shut your eyes. Inhale, roll your shoulders up, and exhale, drop them back and down. Keeping your eyes shut or your gaze soft. Begin to focus on your breath, breathing in through your nose. Seal your lips, breathe out through your nose. As you breathe in and out through your nose, make a loud oceanic noise as if you're fogging up a mirror. And now we'll do a full body scan, starting with the top of our head. Just notice how you're feeling. Relax the muscles in your face. Let your tongue fall from the roof of your mouth, maybe your lips slightly part. Drop your shoulders down. Take away the tension from your upper back and your neck. And now scan downwards. Notice how you're feeling in your torso. Maybe your back hurts from sitting. So maybe making a little bit of movement through the spine, rounding your spine, then extending. Then come to a comfortable seat. Keep breathing in and out through your nose. And now as you breathe in and out, I want you to imagine the color green as you breathe in and the color red as you breathe out. As we breathe in the good energy, the positive energy, and we breathe out any negative energy left from the morning. Now let's do one more breathing exercise. This one involves touching your nose. So take your two fingers, your thumb and your pointer finger, place them around your nose as if you're about to plug your nose. And on your inhale, we'll plug the right side of your nose, breathing in through the left nostril. And then we'll switch. Hold your left nostril, breathe out through your right nostril. We'll do that one more time. Breathing in through your left nostril and breathing out through your right nostril. Couple more times like this. One more. And now let's reverse the direction. This time we breathe in through the right and breathe out through the left. 3 more rounds of breath. Inhale. Exhale through the left. 2 more, breath in. And breath out. Last time, inhale. And exhale. So now that we've slowed down and centered ourselves in our space, let's start to add a little bit more movement through the body. Inhale, bring your shoulders up and by your ears. Exhale, round them down and back. If your eyes are shut, you're welcome to start to blink them open. Inhale, one more time, roll your shoulders up. Exhale, roll them down and back. Last time, inhale, roll up. Exhale, down and back. Let's reverse the shoulder roll. Inhale up. Exhale, forwards. Inhale, lift. Exhale, forwards. Last time, breath in, lift. Breath out, roll forwards. Inhale, lift your arms up towards the sky if you have space. Exhale, drop your left hand down, maybe on the arm of your chair, maybe on the ground, and reach your right hand to the left side, side body stretch. And we'll take that to the other side. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, drop your right hand down, reach your left arm over to the right side. Beautiful. And let go. Whether you're on your mat or on the ground or on a chair, Place your hands on your thighs or on your kneecaps. We'll make some movements through our spine with seated cat-cows. So on your inhale, start to arch through your back slightly, lift your chin, open your heart. And exhale, round through your spine, tuck your chin. One more time, inhale, arch through your spine, lift your chin. Exhale, round through your spine, tuck your chin. Last time, inhale, arch. And exhale, round. Move back towards a neutral spine. Finally, we'll take care of our neck and our upper back with some head rolls. So drop your head down, chin towards your mat or the floor, and then bring your head back and around, rolling through the neck. And let's reverse the direction. Chin down, crown of the head towards the back. And back towards the center. Place your right hand on the crown of your head. Stretch over towards the right side. And release. Let's take it towards the left hand on the crown of your head. Move your head towards the left side. And release. Finally, full body breath. Inhale, reach your arms up towards the sky. Exhale, let it go. One more time, inhale, reach your arms up. And on your exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Thank you all so much for sharing in this practice with me today and having me join you. The light in me honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you so much, May. This is Kristen again. We're so grateful to May and Project Yoga Richmond. I know that was much needed. We'll be transitioning to our next activities that we have planned, and we have intentions around these for centering our communities as we paint a just futures for Virginia's children and young people collectively. We have 2 community building breakouts set up. There will be interpretation in both of those breakout rooms as well. Option 1 is a mindfulness scavenger hunt, and option 2 is a virtual community vision board. Both of these are hosted by our partners, the Child Savers. Once I open them, you should see an option in the corner to self-select into a breakout room. But I will hang back for a moment as folks get acclimated, and I can help direct folks if needed. Just let me know what supports you need to join these spaces. We'll be in these breakout rooms for about 20 minutes. We'll return again just to debrief, and we will be closed out again by Chloe. I'm opening those rooms now. Interpreters are already assigned into their spaces. Welcome back, folks. We'll just pause for a moment. And let our interpreters get set back up again. Welcome back, everyone. Elevating Bob's comment in the chat. He led the mindfulness group. He said that was fun. Thank you all. This is Kristen again. We would love to hear your reflections in the chat, and I'll elevate them as I'm able to, just to hear how those breakout rooms went for you. Thanks so much for engaging with us, and we hope to take this information and really speak it into fruition, especially as we finish off this General Assembly session and prepare for the next one. Now, I'd like to introduce our last speakers who will close us out. Sophia Booker, our Grassroots Engagement Committee co-chair. There, Sophia just got in here. And again, Chloe Edwards.
Thank you. Welcome, Sophia. We actually just introduced you. So we're going to move into a bit of just reflection. Sophia and I happen to be poets by, I don't know if you want to say by trade or lived experience, but I'm going to pass the mic to Sophia first to get us started.
I'm just hopping right on in. How are you all doing today?
Oh, and Sophia, so this is the kind of introduction we're doing to be inclusive of those who may have disabilities. My name is Chloe Edwards. I have a fro, and I am in front of a white Zoom background titled Just Futures for Children and Young People Rally.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Sophia Booker. I also have a fro, and I am in a very bright office right now. Currently, I am a grad student at Virginia Commonwealth University. My major is in social work, and I will be graduating this year. Yay. And I'm also a foster care alum, and I currently work for a program called Project Life, which is a program for older youth in foster care, helping them transition successfully to adulthood. So I guess, Chloe, I'm supposed to go into my poem.
Take it away.
All right. Okay, so the poem that I wrote is called Dreams. And I literally just finished it not too long ago during a meeting. Don't tell nobody. So here goes nothing. Dreams. They told me I could be anything, but I am stuck, trapped by the limitations that surrounds me. The glass ceiling that won't break, but I have to have special tools to navigate in a world that can seem so cruel. Structures that people refuse to see, partitions used to create safety from an uncomfortable reality. Thoughts fill the air. I don't hear it, but I can feel it around me. Quote, why should I care? Why does it affect me? I didn't know. I'm content, teach me. Thoughts that are produced in different forms subconsciously, hindering the progress towards a just future. Still, I dream. I dare to dream. Dream, oh sweet dreams, race through my mind every day. Beautiful artistries on replay. Paint visions on my board. Will they become a reality? Self-doubt is imminent for sure. I dream that my authenticity will take me places, accelerate beyond my ancestors' wildest dreams, paving the way for a world to accept all that I bring to the table, from my beautiful crown to my vibrant personality, from my mental health experiences to my beautiful dialect and the light that shines so bright from within me. Why should I hide those parts of me to satisfy the status quo? Still, I dare to dream. I dream of a legacy that will emote inspiration for generations to come. My story, my life experiences, my heart will plant seeds that will grow into resilience across all lifespans within my lifetime and beyond. I dream of making a difference with full humility to be the change I want to see. Demonstrate pure excellence from role models like Michelle Obama and all of the strong women who uplifts me. I dream of breaking the glass ceiling in my own unique way, taking risks through bravery and inspire others to do the same. I dream to be great, just like every person who pours into me. I am my own legacy, but I'm also theirs, shining bright for the world to see. I dream that this is a reality. Thank you.
Guys, this is Chloe speaking. Feel free to use reactions. I know that connected to actually a lot of the stuff we did today. We talked about Dr. King and his dreams and vision boards and resilience across lifespans. Thank you, Sophia. Very timely. And so I'm going to close it out through a poem I actually wrote for Black History Month last year. It's called Black Resilience Rising. It actually weaves into Sophia's poem fairly well too. But I'll just go ahead and get started. Still we rise like the oceans our ancestors crossed, oppressed but unsilenced, traumatized but resilient. Once chained, we stop and shout as we cry out for change. The motherland was stripped from motherhood, but her roots were revolutionary. Still we rise like the curls in our froze. Even when pushed and pulled out of school, we are elastic. Still we rise, our voice a megaphone, fostering a society that cares for the future of our children. I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, said Eric Garner at 42. I can't breathe, said George Floyd at 46. And we couldn't breathe as we wept in anguish and faced the reminders of Tamir Rice shot at 12 and others. Still we rise, Ava Holloway at 14. In the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, pointed her toes in front of the Robert E. Lee statue. Scream no justice, no peace. Still we rise, youth activists hosting a teach-in in front of City Hall. Amidst tear gas, pepper spray, flash grenades, rubber bullets, undefeated, march their feet unleashed, historical reforms in the name of justice for George Floyd. Still we rise, breaking the glass ceilings we saw when too short to even see. Girls for a Change recreating ladders that were once unclaimable. Still we rise to decision-making tables where we are often the only representing our communities. We raise our voice to transform policies and systems. Still we rise, briefcase in hand on the way to board meetings. We change the cultures of institutions. Still we rise, Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris. Still we rise, President of the United States, Barack Obama. Still we rise, accept tortures without invitation so that Black children and youth know and see in every space that they can be, rise and be whoever they wish to be today. Still we rise, still we rise, still we rise. Here we are, Black resilience rising. Thank you all, and I think that's going to close it out, but we just appreciate your time today and for joining us in the creation of this space. I felt a lot of passion and power in the room, so continue to let it prevail. And as always, I like to end with an Ashe, which is a West African proverb, which means the power to make things happen, or so let it be. I also want to end with a Sankofa, which addresses the concept of going back and to get what was left behind, which in this case, I think really tells America's story of going back to retrieve justice. So Ashe, if you'd like to honor an ancestor as you step out of the room, feel free to do so, and we'll just play some music as everyone practices their breaths or honors their ancestors. Ashe.
tears streaming down your face when I said I'll never let you go. When all those shadows almost killed your light, I remember you said, don't leave me here alone. But all that's dead and gone and past tonight. Just close your eyes. The sun is going down. You'll be alright. No one can hurt you now. Come on in, and I'll be safe and sound. Don't you dare look out your window, darling, everything's on fire. The war outside our door keeps raging on. Hold on to this lullaby, even when the music's gone, gone. Just close your eyes. The sun is going down. You'll be alright.
I think other folks are just hopping off, maybe in the background. But I think that went great, you all.
This was so cool, even though I was here for only 5 minutes.